just come on stage? Everybody who was involved will be wonderful. Also Stefan, you could say somehow protagonist of the film. Everybody's coming on stage. I want to say to you, Christoph, thanks a lot for selecting the film.
My pleasure.
I mean, it's really nice also to see people that, you know, support something that's maybe not so conventional in some ways. And also to the whole FOL team for their wonderful work. So,
would you like to?
We have to the very left, Eric Menard did the sound. Tobias Rüther did also the sound. Georg Tiller, producer. Stefan Stabelow, editing. Maya Tenstedt, editing. Stephen Williams, assistant director, camera assistant, emotional, mental support. And Fabian and Raphael, music composing. Sabet, production managing. Oscar Pipiro Villas, color grading. Jochen Jesusek, sound design, and Michel Vargi also producing. And Stefan Schuster. Yes.
All right. So if you have questions, please wait for the microphone. We won't hear you in the auditorium. Marcin, this is definitely a film that escapes words. How would you define it? To me, it seemed different every time I've seen different versions. Tonight, I felt like I saw either a science fiction film or a long, long dream. But I guess that you will have your own definition of how to call it.
It's very hard to say for me too. I mean, every time I see it, I also see so many different things. But I mean, I guess in some ways it comes close to something that could be maybe somehow called maybe science fiction, or something that maybe is something that is really hard to understand by the end of the day, and to categorize really. I mean, because I don't. It's very hard for me to put it into any category because, I mean, the way how I worked in it, I never thought of it in that kind of way, so I just proceeded, continued working on it, and somehow this came out. But I don't know how to call it.
This came out, you say, but does it mean you didn't really know what would come out? Did you?
No, no, I didn't.
Then what was the original idea, and how did you approach your work?
The original idea was really, it was going to this place, which I know from my childhood. I mean, my aunt and my grandfather worked at this place, Sieniawka, in the hospital. So I was there as a child, and then throughout my life I would come back to that place and see them, of course, and walk around there. And then after my aunt, how do you say, retired, I went back there and I realized, you know, maybe there's something I still want to capture there or conserve there in some ways, because nowadays the place is changing a lot. And then I went there eventually and started filming, I guess. And it kind of, as I went along, sometimes things become more fictional. Then I would go back to something you could say is more observational or more documentary. So it really, evolved into many directions.
I cannot imagine you just going there with a camera and starting to film. You must have spent a lot of time with the protagonist before you actually turned on the camera. Is that right?
Yeah, that happened, of course. I mean, I'm being quite short here, but I mean, these people are like family to me. I mean, I know them for a long time, so I guess them eventually accepting me filming there was not such a hard thing to do, or to be with them and follow them around, or sometimes ask them to do certain things. And that's how kind of the collaboration evolved. Because I see them as collaborators. I mean, I never talk about them, let's say, you know, patients or anything like this, because I mean, these people are very close to me.
Gibt es Fragen? Do you have any questions? I don't see any yet. So when you say you've asked them to do things, can you describe more what ways you were working with your protagonists?
I mean, in some ways, the film, let's say, consists of different parts, or you could, I mean, parts is maybe the wrong word, it's more sections, I would say. And in certain sections, you know, because there's the hospital, and it is, let's say, on a camp, and then in this kind of camp, there's also half of it is occupied families that live there. So we would, on a daily basis, I mean, I would decide, let's go there and do this. Could you maybe talk about that? But I mean, it came out from what we just, you know, talked about. Let's say, you know, someone would tell me a story, I would listen to that. Then sometimes while filming, I would remember that. All of a sudden, I'd say, maybe say that, you know. I mean, I cut it out later on, me saying that, of course, but I'd say, maybe, you know, do that. So I guess you would call it maybe improvisation or something like that.
So nothing was really scripted in the whole film, and the structure developed later when you were editing.
I mean, I guess the first part I had, you know, more of a draft in my head, but there also I eventually threw out a lot of things, and then the rest kind of happened as I went along with it.
Ich sehe niemanden, aber es ist wirklich schwer von hier zu schauen. Da, ja, bitte. Warten Sie aufs Mikrofon, bitte, es kommt sofort jemand.
A question, at the beginning there were two men in the tent, and one of them was killed. Is it a real story? And how can it happen that one people kills each other and nothing happens?
If you mean if the story is
it a real story?
This thing is based on real events or something like that, or no, not really. It's on my imagination. Yes, it's my imagination. Oh, I mean, yes.
I would like to ask Stefan, your protagonist, what did you think about the way that Marcin was working with you and with the other protagonists? Did you have any idea of what he was doing, and did you have an image of what the finished film would look like?
Actually, Marcin had an initial idea. But during the shootings, another ideas appeared. And then it was created what we've seen.
And how much did you explain about what you were doing?
Regisseur Czy reżyser wam mówił o co właśnie?
Nie, to braliśmy to tak
przydzielnie na bieżąco. No, he didn't explain anything. We took it just from life.
Niektóre kwestie były, że trzeba poprawiać.
Sometimes he told us that we should do things in a better way, but that was besides it was everything okay.
Trochę nerwów było.
Sometimes we were a little bit nervous.